Thank you for tuning into The Disclosures with Peter the Insider and Jessica Arael Marrocco. Peter is the director of the 12th Division of the ACIO, Advanced or Alien Contact Intelligence Organization. Jessica is a galactic liaison and interdimensional seer. Together, they will discuss the most current updates from the ACIO, Council of Five, and other extraterrestrial sources. Make sure to post your questions and comments below. Disclosures, insider intel that keeps you updated with planetary changes.
We're going to go and move it to all that. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. We should have a very interesting show here today. How's everybody doing?
Doing good. Doing
Okay.
good.
Peter?
Yeah, I'm very
Okay.
good. I was, very excited for this show because I think that will be a lot of interesting stuff to talk about today.
Right. Well, the first thing that's on my mind is the censorship that's going around here. And ultimately, this video is probably not going to end up on YouTube. I'm not quite sure how that's going to happen, how it's going to be, because my most recent video that I did was deleted. And in that particular video, it was a coverage associated to the inauguration, but it was also discussing more about the direction of the planet. And it was a roundtable conversation. So if we're going to have to be afraid of everything that we say, are we allowed to talk about this? It's going to affect at least my ability to ask you, everybody here, good questions. And so it gets to the point that I think it's best to just go ahead and put this content on other channels. But you're all welcome to share wherever this ends up. So first comment or topic on hand here is we were discussing a little bit earlier about how ham radio communication license and or at least in the equipment itself is becoming very expensive, and this licenses are very difficult to get. So what does the ACIO foresee in regards to censorship going into the future timeline? Do you see getting worse or better, or is it all depends on what part of the world you're in?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. This is the stuff. We will get rid of that stuff in reality which we are merging with in the first point of view. Second stuff is it strongly depends on which time or which my bad, which part of the world you are living in. But technically, there are another, let's say, from there, that means they, the elites, they want completely to make, let's say, total censorship, and they don't know how to do that properly because there are multiple, and I'm saying multiple ways of making ham radios. That means, like amateur radio broadcasting, and even they will, let's say, 99% of frequencies they will jam with strong jammer. There always will be one carrier main frequency, and they can make it quotes in quotes off band frequency, and the amateur radio operators will use it, and they will make the carrier working. Let's say there will be, I don't know, like between 5 to 10 in Europe, of course more in US or Canada because it's larger. It's larger area the same. I mean the more those carriers. I mean the transceivers I'm sorry, my bad. Transmitters in Asia or Africa or so, and they will modulate the signal in order to get, I mean, to make this signal receivable. And the stuff is that they really, the elites are really afraid of that because they are up to censor, to make quotes and quotes total censorship all over the internet. And question is why?
Well, first of all, they're too late, Peter, because they should have been doing this back in 2005 when YouTube first emerged.
Yeah, that's true. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, how are they going to get the genie back in the bottle? That's what you're basically describing, or at least that's what
they
want.
Yeah. But that's the stuff. Now, this is not about why am I talking about it? Very easy. I mean, the topic, because this is not about about stuff like we are talking about, how we can call it, sensitive topic. No, the people, they are in ham radio community. That means the amateur radio operators, they, I mean, YouTube and all kind of them, they are shutting their, not channels, but videos down. And those particular videos are about how to operate properly on amateur radio bands. And this is crazy. And I contacted those all respectively. They contacted us and I contacted them. Those most famous radio operators, and they said, like, what in the world is that? I can't upload video on YouTube. And it was nothing. It was pure nothing, just technical stuff, how to maintain those receivers, how to, make amateur radio communication. And that's the stuff. Because this is not about, so that means content. This is about what? So form of, let's say, alternative communication. Do you know what I mean? Then this is crazy. Because what we are, let's say, witnessing, right? We are witnessing the stuff that in last, let's say, 8 or 10 or I don't know, 12 years, most, and this is it, most videos, my bad, stations, they were on shortwave, they closed the frequencies, and yep, okay.
This is dated to October 2019. Sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, California officials declare ham radio no longer a benefit. So I'm going to just go ahead and zoom in here while you're talking and let people get
and that's the stuff, like most of those radios shutted their frequencies down on shortwave. And in last, let's say 8, 10, maybe 12 years. And the stuff is that in certain parts of the world, they completely censored even the quote unquote mainstream operators. What is crazy? That means not operators, but I'm saying like radios. And this is not like many people say, okay, this is maybe communists in China or North Korea or in Russia or something like that. I don't want to say communist, but let's say authoritarian regime, it's Russia. No. It is happening all around the world that, let's say, for certain reason, they completely shut it down, the ports. Those former, if we want to call it that way, former shortwave radios started to broadcast via internet. And that means that they were forced to start back to to get back to the shortwave. And especially fact that this is, I mean, people, the demand for ham radio licenses get tremendously high. In fact, that it is not that crazy complicated to get once you are not completely dummy, I go like, okay, which kind of frequencies are okay to listen, I don't know, in early morning, do you know what I mean, like different times, different parts of the day, especially during nighttime, it's the best possible. So, it's kind of quirky once you don't like to.
Well, Peter, let's get to the point here, because what does ACIO think is the agenda? Why are they trying to make it prohibitively expensive? They're trying to take the repeaters out. Why don't they want people to have it when it's beneficial in emergencies? Or Jessica, if you want to comment.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I just want to do a quick overview. I mean, the ham radios have been around for years prior to the cell phone. People, like truckers, have been using it for means of communications. In the event that something goes down, if something doesn't work out, it's always been, it's much easier to communicate this way, this type of communication. Not easier, but it's more reliable, but it's very grassroots. It's very, very basic. And, as far as the frequency, if you look at FM's frequency modulated, which is, it kind of goes to a certain distance. It's limited in its distance, but it's a powerful signal. When you have AM or analog modulated, it has a bouncing effect. It can bounce around the world. And so it has a very, very strong potential for people to be able to communicate with someone around the world. And that alone makes it, a go-to if the grid ever gets shut down, which brings us up to the issue of that this grid could actually go down, and they know that, or they have plans of shutting down the grid. And I have heard of certain groups saying that this needs to go, they're trying to convince the public to agree to this, in saying, the only way that we're going to correct everything is if we shut everything down, and, come on, all of you patriots, go along with this. We'll shut it down, but there's no guarantee that they'll actually bring it back up again. So, or there could be some kind of frequency hit, or, some kind of natural anomaly that they know about in our future that could knock everything out, but the ham radios would still work. So
yes, and sorry for interrupting you, Jessica, but it is amplitude modulation, just by the way.
Amplitude, thank you. Okay,
yeah, amplitude modulation. Then you have long wave, what is practically unused in North America. You have medium wave in US, most or better known as BC, broadcast band, and then you have shortwave from 1.7 to 30 megahertz, just by the way. Sorry for that.
So the purpose of it, Peter, would you say that it is, it's because that they know that something's going to get shut down. They don't want people to be able to communicate, so they can harness them. They can control the situation.
Yeah.
Well, so, that would mean, Peter, that there's plans put in place for a massive shutdown worldwide. Correct?
Yeah, it looks like that. Because, for example, you said, Jessica, if there is an ideal, how we can say it, climate conditions, there are no, how can we say that, like hills or something like that, like complicated terrain. You have what, like what, 100, 120 miles in order to get good FM reception. What is like 150, maybe 200 kilometers, right? Not
Right,
a
it's
big
limited.
deal. Not a big deal. On medium wave broadcast band, from 8 to 10 times more. It's crazy. And on shortwave, if you know what you are doing, you can get practically all around the world, just by the way. And that's the stuff, that's their most, that's what they are most concerned of, shortwave. No, they want to get completely rid of shortwave in order to say that it is bullshit, and I will not watch my language, because the quality is bad. And they are all over the place, if you want to call it that way. Analog, they are switching off all the analog
Right.
transmitters, and they are replacing it with digital stuff. What is absolute bullshit, because technically even the main frequency, the main carrier, it can let's say break down and you hear nothing.
Right, but it won't happen like that with analog. Analog would still be useful.
Yep.
That's the reason the big transfer happened. It would happen,
and they don't like it. They don't like
or
it.
1990 something, no, around the year 2000 or so.
What?
A lot of that happened when they started transferring all television over to digital.
Yeah, you are right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why they don't like this. That's the reason.
It's communication is what they fear the most, because if people are communicating, then they can coordinate, collaborate, and have an understanding of what's going on. Otherwise, you have pockets of isolation, and you can have a whole city get completely annihilated, and no one would know about it. Because of course, we've seen clearly the national media selects what is newsworthy and is omitting a lot of things that are happening in the US or around the world. I mean, we don't know half of what's going around the world. The only reason I know what's going on is because I'm communicating with people from other countries.
Well, can we go back to my original question, Peter? What does the ACIO foresee happening around the planet? I mean, Shirley, you must have some access to looking glass technology, I'm assuming, anyway.
Once again, we will not get shut down with that stuff, but it will be not easy. It will be.
So censorship's going to fail. Ultimately, all these, yeah. So you're foreseeing it.
They'll keep on. They're going to keep trying. That's what he's. They keep trying to do different things, different avenues.
Well, would you like to comment about what's going on in Russia compared to censorship in the USA? Because in Russia, if you do google.ru, you can find terms on there that you can't find if you do just google.com. But you also said that I guess they have some kind of YouTube type version over there. That's
kind of weird. Because from my it's weird from my point of view, because on RuTube, that's Russia, right? You can talk about pretty much everything. What is absolutely crazy. I don't know what the heck should I think about that. It's crazy.
So would that mean the average Russian is more aware of what's going on in the world than the United States, you think?
On RuTube or through RuTube, definitely yes. Definitely yes. It's kind of, how can I say it? Let's call them censorship paradox, or paradoxes, that in certain way they are blocking stuff, and in another way they are allowing stuff to talk about. And it is not about, let's say, that Western world are bad or something like that, but in one web pages or group of web pages, you are not allowed to search, or your hits, do you know what I mean? Like results will be, how can I say it? Will be very different in comparison as you will hit that site in another parts of the world. But on another way, or from another point of view, if you want to call it that way, the story will be very different. It's weird.
So would you consider Putin a white hat, as well as maybe the Russia is maybe in charge of more of the positive white hats on the planet?
From this point of view, yes, because they were not, quote in quotes, infected with this, with those how we can call them, corporations. But that's the problem, that it is not, for example, many people are pointing fingers at US, but that's the problem, that US are in this story. I don't want to say story because story can be fake. In this context, they are the victim too, because instead of people, I mean, Native Americans, there are wide variety of Native Americans. There is only short history, like 4, maybe 5 centuries or something like that. And the elites, they counted on that people believe, patriotism, all kind of that stuff. But American, it's not nation. It's, let's say, you have American ID, that means you are citizen. It's a citizenship, not nation. Like it or not, it's true, because there are wide variety of mixed people altogether. As you, Jessica, said, it was what, like 8 or 10 different cultures on one street. Am I right?
Yeah, for me, growing up, I had all different cultures on one street.
Yeah.
And and races too. I mean, I lived close enough to the city that you're exposed to everyone, and you see that everyone's the same and they have the same needs, and just have difference in preferences and some of their cultural things, but that's about it. So it's not an issue. The US, you're right. I mean, we're not the original people here, or the native people, and we're all have come here as maybe visitors, and to some perspective, intruders to another. I have a lot of love for the native people. I understand their situation, but it also, though, is we're probably the only nation that's most welcoming to every culture. You don't see other nations doing that, and so in that sense, we're unique. But which I think makes us benevolent in a lot of ways, not as evil as some people perceive us. But I don't know, just put that out there.
Yeah, and that's the stuff. I mean, this is the reason why that means the elites, choose US as a, let's say, victim country. Do you know what? They don't have any identity. Let's do it. Let's do this. And that's the stuff. And in the first place, and in the second place, the Commonwealth, that means like UK, right? UK was this empire-ish stuff. They were in charge for a long time, and like it or not, in London there was free Masonry lodge, and that was the stuff. Everything, how can I say it? The circumstances went as they went, and that was it. This is the ideal country. Let's do it. Do you know what I mean?
That was 1717, is it?
Yeah.
1717, when the first Masonic lodge, and so that gave them an elite status that was respected worldwide. Are you saying?
Absolutely. I mean, of course, I don't want to say it is okay. I'm saying what they believed so. And that's the stuff. And now people are so confused and angry, and I mean, in US, because you want to have rights, what you should. And now, once let's say there is what? mainstream point of view, right? And once you are not okay with the mainstream point of view, or how can I say, like mainstream opinion, that is not okay. I don't know what I mean, and I don't know. It's so crazy. I mean, but practically this is not problem only in US, but in any other Western country. So I don't know in in Western Europe, here in Australia, problem too. In Japan, for example, too. And it's just like, what in the world? Okay, so let's say, do we have democracy or not? Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. I mean, so should we talk about democracy or it is a dictatorship? Do you know what I mean? Hidden bit behind democracy. What do you think? You, Jessica, or you, you, James? Just say this is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I think we're under a fascist regime when you look at the corporation of the United States that was set up under the Organic Act of 1871.
Yeah.
And so that was actually one of the questions I had, was because I know in the last video that you did with Jessica, this topic was brought up about how the Organic Act was set up, and then right around the same time, J.D. Rockefeller set up the Standard Oil Trust of around 1870. So that was all, and then they funded the Nazis. And then I know in the past, Jessica, you've mentioned how the Third Reich Nazis, which is during that era when Hitler was in power, used time travel tech to alter the timeline. At least they came into our future. But is it possible that there's a time loop there? Did they go back in time and work with Ulysses Grant, the 18th president, to encourage him to participate in this scheme? What are your thoughts, or this is something else altogether? As you said,
give me a second. You mean this like this? How they? How he? I mean Ulysses. He sold US to UK. Do you mean like that?
Well, I mean, the UK would have been involved. So, but ultimately, the corporation was, I mean, it would have been favorable to the Nazis. At least when you look at General Smedley Butler under Roosevelt, that whole era, there was actually a coup, a fascist coup to take over this country by the Nazis. Not many people know about that, but that was actually stopped. And that's how he got his New Deal. But so maybe this was all in the works since 1870 at least. But is there a connection from time traveling divisions from the Third Reich?
Do you know what it looks like? That I don't want to say it is, but there is no other possible logical explanation except this what you said. But sorry, Jessica, say what you want to.
I'm just saying, I mean, there's more than one group that could have done it. I mean, it could have even been the Shaw House or Monarch or Mobius as well.
No, don't say even this.
I mean, because we always, because the Nazis have done quite a bit, but we're finding out that there's these other corporations as well. And also now we're looking at the future, because if you're in the future, you're time traveling as well. And that's what we're seeing in Cyberpunk. And like, for those that you're listening for the first time, we're not just talking about video game, it's a soft disclosure video of what's going on in the future. So, and how things essentially roll out. In the first show that I did about Cyberpunk, I showed the timeline that's on Cyberpunk and compared it to our timeline. And it's pretty crazy. Some things happen later in our timeline than when they predicted it would happen, but essentially it was the same similar elements. So and the guy that created this is from Poland. I don't know if you know that, James.
He created Witcher 3, just by the way. What is one of the most popular video game of all the time?
Witcher. The
Witcher,
TV show,
yep.
And it's also a video game. which became, extremely popular. This will also be popular other than all of the technical issues that they have. But yeah, let's get back to the question of something definitely integrated during that time. And I've also seen that there was a great theft that happened around 1920s from the Federal Reserve. And, that money missing or whatever. So there's been a lot of tampering. That's why it's really hard to figure out.
Talking about the Gold Confiscation Act of 1933, right around, the United States was declared bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So, and of
course,
that
was actually a time travel robbery.
And
that
do you know what is crazy? That they revealed the secret act they wrote from investigation. And guys, please don't laugh, okay? Please don't laugh. They wrote official, I mean, of course, it was secret. 100 years, for 100 years. And it was like the bricks, I mean, the golden bricks. Guys, please don't laugh. They melted somehow. And it's like, okay, who the hell came with the device into the Fort Knox and melted the bricks? Sorry for that, but I'm laughing because it's total nonsense. Sorry, it's such impossible stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what, guys? I just want to melt 10 or 15 or 20 bricks full of gold. And it was like, oh, fine, go. It's not a big deal. Sorry, but this is so nonsense. And this is official report. Say me, guys, how the heck is this possible?
So, Peter, basically you're saying that that it's probably true, but you really don't know how the intel on it, or either that.
Yeah, because it is ridiculously crazy. I mean, they wrote it, but I don't want to say if they fake it, if they made it up or not, because just imagine it, that they wrote it as a serious stuff to goddamn top secret investigation. And they took it seriously. Like the missing, the most probable version of variant. Why? And I don't know. I can't remember the correct number of golden bricks. How they went to miss? They were melted. I was like, what? It's nonsense. Still know what I mean? Just say me. And there was no, how can I say, like, no opposition about that. They completely like, nah, it's fine. Sorry for that, but this is ridiculous.
Well, shall we move on? Or Jessica, did you have a comment?
Yeah, well, I was looking for an article that I had seen a couple of years ago where there were a couple of men from China that actually had a whole bunch of U.S. bonds, and nobody knows where they came from. And so, like I said, immediately I thought of time travel, and that was it almost felt like, I mean, I won't even tell my theory because that would definitely trigger a lot. But I almost felt like
I know what you mean, Jessica. No,
that they're actually stealing money from us and then causing us to be depleted, so that we keep on owing them. So it's creating a cycle.
It's the stuff is that everyone is quotes in quotes, optimizing the spendings, and that means that the corporations, they are designing not only technology like electronics, pretty much everything. They move, and they were moving their factories to the cheapest country.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's it. But
no, there's a lot of different things that, the way that people are, just look at the way the credit card system is and how they add very high interest rates. And so, yeah, there you go. There's one of them. And
do you remember reading about this? Andrew Carlson.
Yeah, I
so
did.
This was 2003, and so he got picked up because he turned $800 into $350 million in 126 trades. So he got red flagged by the SEC. So yeah. So but the thing, what's strange,
because he knows the future.
Yes. So what's strange about this is that he says he'll be willing to provide a cure for AIDS, the date of U.S. invasion of Iraq, and the exact location of Osama bin Laden. He also wanted to return to his time travel craft, but he refused to show the location. So, but apparently he disappeared from jail.
Right.
I don't know if it says that in here somewhere, but yeah.
Yeah,
Somebody
they know how to leave.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's
Yeah, well, I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that's been going on. We don't really know who's been doing what. I mean, Peter, more than I do, but I kind of see them sometimes. I catch them. They don't like it.
Yeah, they don't.
Okay, so let's move on here. Yeah, more questions. So we were discussing about the cyberpunk. So we know that these timelines emerging. It's affecting our reality. You already talked about that on your channel as well, in the cyberpunk shows that you've been doing. So is there anything else you want to elaborate on that? I guess more in particular, I get my question here is, they are copying people who, I guess, super soldiers in our reality and modeling it in these games, which is, I guess, is a facsimile of that reality. So why do they do that? What do you think they're getting from, I guess it's soft disclosure.
DNA and mind set samples. That's easy.
All right. So yeah, we've got
and hello, here you are. Jackie
yes.
Wells.
Yeah.
Here you are, James. How are you feeling?
He's the welcoming crew.
Yeah. Well, he died at the age of 30, so I'm not feeling too thrilled about that. But
no, you will meet him once if you are going. How can I say that? Like good enough in depth to the game. But technically the stuff is it's open world game, not only the main missions and side missions, and you can play it for, I don't know, hundreds of hours. Just by the way, fair enough, because it was for 7 years in development, so fair enough. And
all right. So some alternate reality. I'm assuming I incarnated into this form, and so this I'm.
You don't like yourself?
Future reality.
You don't like yourself? Why? This is not fair.
2077. This is you in the future. You're the welcoming committee to everyone that comes onto the platform.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean, this is not fair. You need to like yourself, James.
Well, I'm not sure I'm too thrilled of all the cybernetics. Well, anyway, but
no, I don't like it either. This time
this is all fictitious, right? I mean, what we're seeing here is not what in that other realities were like, or has somebody from that reality crossed over into this one to share information. What do you think?
Sometimes it is better like that. Believe me, it is. Because there are, how we can call it, certain borders they can't be crossed in order not to create more, instability. Let's say instability, if you want to call it that way, instability.
Okay, so you're saying that someone from this 2077 cyberpunk universe came over here and is working with the producers of this video game series to share information. Is that how this work, or is it like a
Somehow,
crossover?
yeah, but let's say it's not so easy to get because those people is not so easy because it's, how can I say it, like let's say sometimes once you experienced something you even can't explain it. Jessica, say to us, am I right or not?
Yeah, so, well, I think because of all the tampering that the corporations are doing, that they're taking just, in their form of time travel, they're going into the future, taking elements of us who they've obviously been observing for some reason, and then incorporating them into this reality. So we become the players in their game, because all of us are owned under their platform in a way. So what they do to me is they turn me into some form of AI. They use my information, knowledge, but they want to use it for their own gain. And that's the Arasaka Corporation. So Arasaka, do they exist right now? I believe so. So if anyone is taking us into that future reality, it's probably them. What do you think,
Yeah,
Peter?
this is crazy. Yeah, you are right, they
Which
are,
is
but they are just,
why we should talk about it, because there's others involved. A lot of people are involved in this. And yeah, we don't want to be there. We don't want to be there, and we don't like their scenario. And if their timeline is similar to what we're going through, then if you look at this future of events, there was multiple breakdowns of the political systems and all throughout the world, which enables the corporations to come in and pretty much run the population. And then,
but sorry for interrupting you, but say me, okay, and or say to us, and be honest, what do you think is good or bad, or what do you think consider be or bad, good or be good or bad, like running by politicians, they are puppeted by, behind scenes. That means, like them, the elites or corpos or whatever, or corpos, without politicians. They just show middle finger to politicians and that's it. That's the stuff. I mean, people needs the leader, and I will say you why. Because most people, okay, let's take it from another end. Freedom, so be free, it is privilege, right? But it is a gift, right?
it's a
But
sovereign right
gift
from the
is
universe.
or this gift with this come automatically responsibility. How many people do you think, how many percentage of people are responsible? 95, 98% of people, they don't know how they will not be able to handle that. Like it or not, they need to have a strong leader.
The difference, I think, between the corporations and the governments was that at one time I felt like our voting mattered. So since you take that element out, that voting is already preset, then I guess we're no different than being led by a corporation. So I guess, does that answer your question, Peter?
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's the problem, that it is illusion. It's fake. I'm just saying it is fake because one way or another, in the end of the day, all the politicians all around the world are responding. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, did you do your homework? Quotes in quotes, homework. Do you know what I mean? To elite, like it or not. And that's the stuff. Yeah, people believe that once they can go to to democratic votings, all kind of that stuff, votes, fine. But no, it's nonsense. It's bullshit. And once people realize it, Will be better.
Yeah. Well, what do you think is going to happen once the public goes through, I guess, this great awakening? I don't know, maybe mass arrests or maybe finally get some mainstream news about how
From my
corrupt
point
the
of view,
elites are.
mainstream news will finally start to say how it is. Because from quotes in quotes behind the scenes or the elites, there will be no problem. No, let's say in between layer. Do you know what I mean? Like they need to hide something or something like that. And that's the stuff. Because people just look at that. People without strong leader. Not leader, because you'll be like one person. Strong leadership. Try to guess what happened. Just be honest with you, with me.
It would be like without having any type of law, or, it's like not having any street lights, it could just be chaos.
Yeah.
I mean, we understand that. I think a civilized group of people would still manage things and then form their own type of leadership, which I know you see that happening in all these apocalyptic scenarios where, people start to come together. And what was that?
Or maybe the states, certain regions break off in their own super region. Could be like United States breaks apart all the states and some of them merge together in their own little countries.
Exactly. You are right. Countries like no old borders. There will be reasons. My bad. Regions, all kind of that stuff. Yeah. This is it. Most people, they will be absolutely like, what? Who the hell should I listen to? Do you know what I mean? Like once there will be absolutely no authority, like nothing. It is as you said, Jessica. Like try to imagine a night, for example, polar night, and nothing. Like months without any single sign of light. That's the stuff.
Okay, so this is at least what some of the other guests on my show have relayed. What could we possibly looking at? First of all, we could see mass suicides when all the disclosures are starting to take place. We could see riots in the streets or mob basically trying to find these elites and kill them out on the streets. Another reality shows the United States breaking apart in civil war, but in that reality, they had forced vaccinations. So I don't see that happening here. But I also see like it's almost like there's another gameplay in place because so many people were disappointed that Trump didn't finally make his move and they allowed Biden to get into office. So there's a lot of So the question is how's all going to work out? Because it appears, first of all, that Biden is being supported by the CCP. But if we make a move against Biden, that means because all of our manufacturing, at least in the United States, is in a lot of it's in the CCP. So that would basically mean it was totally shut down industry, or well, there's not much industry left in the U.S. anyway. But
I don't want to say only in China, because under CCP you mean China Communist country, right?
Yeah.
But this
you're
stuff.
correct.
It is not only in China. It is pretty much in other countries. Except
So it affect them as well. Yeah. Yes, because so many people import their goods.
Mainly in China. Yeah, you are right. Mainly in China, but that's the stuff
Yeah, and the supply chain is so fragile. I mean, if you look at the dry Baltic index, it takes time for all the ships and the commerce to heat up, to move around, and goods to start flowing. So once the stores get stripped of everything, it takes a while. And then if that whole supply chain breaks down, it could be absolute chaos of power, like you said, Jessica, power outages. But that actually may be because the so-called white hats or even Space Force Command are purposely turning the electricity off in certain areas to stop some of the bad guys from causing, detonations or radiological events.
Yep.
That's the part that I'm worried about, because if they shut it down, there's no guarantee that they'll put it back up again, and then it disables all the regular people. But I think that what you're saying is the universe, or the way that we're operating, has created a scenario that we actually need each other around the world. We're supposed to be interacting and being, it forces us to think about our actions before we take out a group of people. So for example, as much as we need China, China needs us, because we're the ones that keep buying and supporting what they're selling. And so everything is supposed to be set up where there's a balance, and each region of the earth has a purpose, and that we're all supporting one another. So if we get into war, then it creates an imbalance, and it's almost like an incentive to be more peaceful and not feel like we need to dominate, or at least work things through and have some kind of agreement. But we have others that are interfering, that are not part of our reality, that are coming in and disrupting all of this. And whether is that Shaw House, or we've already removed elements of Monarch and Mobius, so it's Shaw House, and I don't know who's left that's still interfering with.
What about Umbrella?
Umbrella, yes, excellent. Yeah.
You talked about COVID-21 in the last video you did.
Jeez, man,
yeah.
don't say that. It is
the mRNA.
Do you know what? This is crazy. This is like absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Well, so the goal was to do more masking, to get the shutdowns of more the economy, and to keep people under more lockdowns. But on the other hand, the lockdowns are causing another issue where people are now at home and they're on the internet researching and learning for themselves. So maybe the lockdowns could be a good thing as part of awakening process, and in its own morbid way. But
do you know what? I think you are right. Many, and I mean many people start to awaken during this, like, let's say, approximately 1 last year. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It also gives the governments an incentive to bring about UBI, universal basic income, because now people are going to be at home and they're going to have to eat, otherwise they're going to riot and burn down the cities. So the governments need to hand them some tokens, because our economies have been totally hollowed out by these elites who and even you mentioned it, the annually $100 trillion is sent off world for the secret space programs on different corporations. So it's totally
$120 trillion. Yes,
$120 trillion, and that's all being taken out from national GDPs. And worldwide, I'm assuming the worldwide GDP is officially 20-30 trillion. So they are just absolutely sucking everything up.
30 trillions? What? No, not trillions. Should be more. Huh?
Well, you have the public sector and you also have the government sector. So most of the business activity that's done on this planet, it's through the government activities, because the aggregate government pension funds, institutional investors, all these institutional investors are technically these are owned by worldwide governments, because they sucked up so much money from the people through the taxation and all the fees and fines and all this, that and they don't have to pay taxes on these accounts. So they're able to buy up all these Fortune 5, most of them, 80-90% of Fortune 500 companies are owned by the government, which in turn are owned by the banks, in turn owned by these multinational corporations.
Yeah, that's true.
Hopefully I haven't. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I just want to bring in something else, because it's going to bring us back to Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk talks about that the space competition between the different, the world powers, China, Russia, the US, the UK, and, all traveling up to, different planets, which creates what's called the orbital wars. And in those orbital wars, they're you're talking about all the money that goes into this, and at that point it's really a big deal. They really have all of these stations and start dominating in that arena. And then so that war, we could be feeling some of the problems from the orbital wars, but maybe that's a question for Peter.
What do you mean exactly? Like,
Because I think China dominates in the orbital wars.
that's true. That's true. That's
Cyberpunk.
true.
And and so they're all that money, like you said, are going up to build these facilities and these civilizations. And now you're looking at that possibly that there was an actual clash between the U.S. Is it or is it Militech and in China? I don't know.
But
exactly.
technically, you need to accept the fact that Militech is not only in US. They are working operating all over, not only
Right.
all around the world, but space-wise, universal-wise, and that's the problem from my point of view.
Yeah. So what I don't recall. I'd have to look it up about what the orbital wars, but I know that the U.S. was definitely on the opposite end of what they wanted, and so.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
that's the wars in the future in the space, but they can also time travel back and change the scenario if they didn't like the outcome. And I don't know if that's what's happening right now, why everything seems very surreal.
Yes, you are right, but technically, we need to accept the fact that more we are time traveling, it doesn't matter, because technically we can time travel in the future too. That's true. More we are time traveling, more, I mean, once the time span is wider, so do you know what I mean? Like more years you are time travel, the more both of those factors, it's screwing the reality what is actually already screwed, and that's the problem. That's the main problem, and people don't want to accept that. People like, no, we screwed something, okay, not a big deal, we will we will get it back. I mean, we will time travel back and we will repair it. No, I mean, yes, of course you can do so, but with one thing, you need to consider consequences, and people don't want to do that.
That movie Tenet, I don't know if you've heard of that movie, James. It's a movie where they actually are changing, undoing something that happens, like there's a plan to have some kind of explosion. Someone has some kind of technology, and they were going to detonate it, and so they go and try to retrace it and undo it, like as if you're knitting and you take out that thread. You just kind of undo everything that was done there. And so you're saying it's not that easy, right, Peter?
Once again, you can, but with consequences.
Is this the right Tenet movie?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So I can go check that one out. Also, I want to apologize, audience members. It's 83 trillion, according to in 2020 is the world GDP. So that would mean the government spending is about 2 to 3 times that amount. So their government spending about $160 trillion on all their secret projects, and then Peter, you're saying there's another 120 trillion of more of off-budget accounts that are being sent off world.
Yeah, you are right. It is absolutely crazy. It is crazy.
So yeah, we're looking at 100 to 280 trillion is a total. Yeah, that's not being put back into the economy. 80 trillion officially, 280 not unofficial. Yeah, so of money that's not being basically ripped apart from us. Yeah. Anyway, so okay, all right. Where are we at now? Where should we take this conversation next?
What's on the list?
Okay.
I mean, what do you? So what do you? So like I said, the scenario of Cyberpunk is not just a game. It's kind of letting us see what the potential is that could happen in the future. And
this is it. What can, not what will be, but what can, and that's good. Point, very good point. What can happen. That's good, because once we will be, let's say, stupid enough, do you know what I mean? That can happen actually, and we don't want to, right?
Right.
So we need to be very, let's say, choose wisely. Do you know what I'm
Right.
like that?
Well, this question, I guess, is for Jessica. So, how is Project Wall Rider and the Markov Group using trauma to extract humans for their various projects? Because I mean, evidently they were using you, and is that connected to the Cyberpunk series?
Just like the need for these corporations to continue doing their projects, they need to make money. And they figured out that if they could take an aspect of my soul from the trauma, I was 5 years old. So they take that trauma or extract something. I don't know exactly how they do it, the technology that they do it, and then sell it on the market, or
Black market, of course.
Black market in the corporations. And which is really weird, because I'm seeing myself as this like really powerful CIA guy, as Jason Hudson, like you see in Call of Duty, and an Alt Cunningham, you know, as a runner.
Netrunner. But
runner.
technically you can be happy. All kind of people love netrunners.
Yeah, but you know, you talk about being dead. Yeah, I get killed from the very beginning of the
No, I mean you can be happy because you will be reanimated. You know.
And it's interesting because I said, well, you know, it looks like even Jason Hudson, he gets killed as well with when he interacts with Noriega. And I do have memories. I had a memory of that they were messing around with my timeline, and I had a full memory of it, and walking through a tunnel with carrying a gun with some other military guys. It's really, really a weird feeling when you start to remember some of this stuff, and also seeing that there were others that were messing around with time there as well. So, and I told Peter, I said, Peter, I know I was in the Vietnam War, and he goes, you remember? And I said, yeah, I definitely remember that part. So that's how they do it. But I don't know.
I was in Vietnam War as well. I got a Purple Heart when I was James Martin Reelsberg.
Yep, that's true.
And
what were you on? Marines or Army?
Yeah, so I guess we never went into that because I was on your show a couple of times, and I was discussing different experiences. And the Reelsberg one we didn't really get to yet because that was near the end of the list. But in that particular one, so apparently he died in '79, but he did 2 tours of duty in Vietnam. What we were getting through regression is that he grew up in a poor farm in Alabama, and he joined the Army, and I guess he was really good at what he did because he made all the way up to Delta, or whatever was considered Delta in the late '70s. The term actually came up as Delta 1. I'm not quite sure exactly what that means because I don't actually remember it. At that point, I don't know exact time, the month or so in '79, but when he died, his body was apparently handed over to the Fourth Reich down at Area 51, and he was reanimated. And they put some hardware into him to cybernize him to basically give him a left eye piece that was heat seeking, and he can be plugged into a computer. But he's running security for Shoreline Group for I think levels. I don't know if it's 20 or 50 because I can't remember exact number, but it's definitely
50,
level. Yeah.
50, my friend.
Okay.
50.
Level 50 and below. So I don't know how. It must go that the base must go down pretty deep to 50 freaking levels there.
Yeah,
but he is not allowed to come out in the public, and they erased most of his memories because we were trying to telepathically communicate with him, and he doesn't really remember too much about his past. Though he did say he wanted to set up a barbecue joint if he got out of jail. So anyway,
you like barbecue?
Yeah, and he was also super religious. He kept pointing to this Christian cross that he kept, and he
But
yeah.
I want to say why. Because middle, as do you know what I mean? As the point when those parts of the cross are crossing, it stopped the bullet.
Huh.
No, I mean it for real. It stopped the bullet, and without it, he will be long gone. Like the
Yeah, he
owner.
kept pointing to that cross. He's like, "Here's the cross. Here's the cross. Remember the cross."
Yeah. That's it,
Yeah,
my friend.
but he said he's not religious anymore, and but he's grateful that the Nazis saved his life. But on the other hand, he kind of wishes he would just hurry up and die, because he's not too happy how they treat him. By the way, one of the things they did to him is they modified him so he grew to be, they made his height. He's close to 9 foot tall now. So he was 5'11", and then they also did some kind of electroshock treatments to enhance the muscle mass. Maybe they gave him steroids, I don't know, but that part. But they also modified his hair. They changed my hair color to be more like Dolph Lundgren, is the actor.
Yep, like
If
that.
you remember the Universal Soldier with that
Yeah.
platinum blonde. So, and by the way, so this clone of mine, or actually not clone, this version of me is still down Area 51, and his hair apparently is starting to turn white. And they don't put him in the regen tank because he's got hardware in him that's legacy. I don't quite understand all that legacy hardware, but they need to keep him around for a little bit longer. But so while that's going on, and they made a clone of me, and then I have my alternate life here, but apparently we're the same soul. And they also said that if I was not to have my awakening, the goal that they wanted for me, the Majestic apparently is in charge of my surrogated family, was for me to become a pastor. But I have guides and ETs that are making sure that wasn't going to happen. So if I didn't wake up to my brainwashing, that's what they were planning for me. So, and Peter or Jessica, anyone want to comment? Are you resonating with any of this?
It will be good for being a pastor. Will it be?
No, apparently I was not a very happy person in that lifetime, but ultimately, if we didn't break out of our programming, we were supposed to self-destruct at a certain period, usually around the age of 45 to 50 is when they were planning for us to self-destruct, because we're part of Project Abandonment and the surrogate program. And I guess, Jessica, I'm not sure if you're surrogated, we're surrogated, but I've talked about surrogates.
Yeah, I haven't really talked about so much about surrogates as it was the wall writer used a different process of the sales that went to these corporations. But,
yes. Okay. Well, the only other thing
I was thinking of the Fast and Furious. They use that cross. What's his name? Used the cross all the time when he almost gets killed. Was it the Fast and Furious, or he passes the crossover? Maybe it's another movie of his. I'll have to get that. I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, you are right. Yeah. That's true.
Was it the Fast and the Furious? Then he does that because there was another series of movies that he did.
Yeah. You are right. Yeah, he's like that.
I asked him if he knew Peter, and apparently, I think he said he had access to the files, but he is not even aware of me too much here on this. He wasn't even aware of me at all, of what I'm doing here. So they basically keep him in the dark. So they don't give him much information down there, by the way. I kind of feel bad for him, but maybe Peter, you could do an extraction op.
I've seen Dolph Lundgren in a few occasions. Definitely. Peter, he wants an extraction done.
Good luck. I mean, he runs security at Shoreline, so you're not going to probably have much chance to get down there.
Yeah.
Do you think they're monitoring any of these conversations, listening in?
No, I don't think so.
Are
Okay.
you sure about that? I'll see them. I see different ones looking at us when we're talking.
When?
Just different occasions. Like I've told you that I'd be talking about something, and I might see like, well, I don't want to bring up the name, but someone from the Shaw House looking at us, or the different ones. And I've seen Dolph Lundgren show up. If you go to whatever they're over, or if they're hearing you talk about their area of expertise, they sometimes will look in and see what's going on. I don't know if it's like a buzzword or.
But I think it's not a big deal, isn't it?
They don't do anything about it, but they're curious to see what's being said, or even they're wanting us to mention it because they want the public to know.
From my point of view, small children are curious.
Yeah. I mean, the projects know when the ACIO knows when you're talking to the public.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. The Council of Five show up sometimes and watch us.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
yeah.
Well, Peter, can you confirm the information I told you is true? Because a lot of this is just through like regressions and remote viewing.
That's true, as I said.
Huh. Okay. Well, I guess a few other things I could add to it. He died in Persia. So he also wears a honeycomb sheath over his skin, like it looks like protective armor. Yeah, and so okay, I think that's pretty much all the information I have on him. But anyway, well, he did tours of duty between the ages of 18 and 23 when he died. Can you confirm that's the case? He was 23 when he died?
Yes, but as I said, in different timelines are occurring different stuff. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
So this was an alternate reality?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Huh. Well, that probably makes sense why every time I try to do a search for Reelsburg, I can't find anything.
Of course, you are right.
But that also means that his body was taken over to this reality.
Yep.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. Well, there you have it. So, well, shall we move on here to more questions, or because actually, you know what? I had this picture that I'm just dying to pull up here. I'm going to share this because Peter, you actually told us what this was earlier, which is the tier H series, the TR3 H series. So the tier level craft. Why don't you just start with what a tier level craft is, and then tell us about the capabilities of the H series? Because typically you think of TR3B. At least that's what everybody in the internet land says about. It's a government craft. It's a TR3B. Well,
no, it is not.
That was from the 1960s is when they stopped making TR3Bs. So
yeah, you are right. You are right. We are using this H series right now. We in ACIO, and once we are properly setting up the main reactor, so that means this small red dot, you can see it on the bottom right picture. This is small red dot there. And once it completely made like full red, you can go to another dimension with it.
So it just blinks in and out. From our perspective, we were to see this, it just disappear.
Yeah, okay. Literally. Mm-hmm. Or you can bend a space, you can bend time once you are flying that fast. Yeah. In our reality, it's crazy.
Yeah. What is the Mach capability of this vessel? At least maybe here on low Earth orbit around the surface.
Yeah, technically, you don't need to. There are fuse engines. That means that there is no sound, and there is quote unquote cavitation bubble. That means that there is like some sort of vacuum state. Do you know what I mean? All over the aircraft. That's the stuff.
Yeah, but what's the mock capability? Are you saying that it does quantum entanglement and it teleports?
Some sort of, once you hit certain conditions, it is like that. Yeah.
Okay, so Mach wouldn't even be a good representation of the speed on this. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about the size of this particular vessel? I mean, it's really difficult to see perspective from these angles.
This is what, like 60 meters, so it is like 200 feet or so.
All right. And how many, what is the number of the crew you think that are on these vessels?
The stuff is that there are not such a big number of people, you know, let's say 10 or 12, but inside it's much larger. That means it is quotes in quotes space relativity. That's the stuff. So once you enter it, it is huge. Inside, it's huge.
And what are they doing in these vessels, you think?
What do you mean? What are they doing? I mean,
what are they transporting? Are they transporting human slaves off world? Are they kidnapping people?
Once again, once we are moving certain stuff,
cargo.
Not only cargo, we are moving for whatever, like big piece of tech, and we need to transport it fast in the first place, safe in the second place, you know, make it quotes in quotes relative, space-wise relative. That's it.
Yeah. Have you ever been on one of these vessels inside of them?
I piloted it multiple times.
Okay. And does it have like a telepathic interface, like you lay down in a chair?
Yeah. You can't quotes in quotes pilot it in normal way. No, you can't.
Okay. Interesting. Jessica, did you have some questions about this craft? Any other questions you can think of?
I find that people talk about these crafts as if it's seen quite often. And people have sent me pictures similar to that, you know, maybe not exactly, but, you know, this shape craft, it seems to have more of a presence recently. Is there a reason why, Peter?
Yeah, observing situation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I guess which group you said? I mean, ACIL has access to these. Are these like, is this a Kruger vessel, or do other groups have the same ship model? Other planetary corporations?
This is the groups. This is the Kruger stuff. Yep, this is the Kruger stuff. But we are pretty much operating it.
Yeah. How much do one of these vessels cost? Not that I could afford one, but in the case.
They are making it for us, and we are not taking like how much they cost, because only the reactor costs like like few hundred of millions of dollars. Only the reactor itself. It's crazy expensive.
Yeah, so when the rest of humanity goes through their great awakening and we finally come clean about ETs and all this type of technology be released to the public, or I guess travel, commerce, tourism.
Yeah, that will be much easier. That will be much easier for people.
Right. Okay.
What's interesting is what Peter said, and I've seen vehicles like this through visions or just, you know, feeling, you know.
Sorry, Jessica, you mean aircrafts, not vehicles.
Yeah, aircrafts. Well, I've seen even other types of. I've even seen like this hut before, and it when you go inside, and it's a spatial anomaly. It's, you know, you look at the outside of it, and you pretty much in your mind calculate the dimensions on the inside. And it's anything but that. It's much larger in space. I don't know what the technology is that they're doing to create this, but so I've seen that in like, you know, like a little hut or, you know, small garage type of thing. but as well as spacecrafts where you see a spacecraft that looks very small. And then I've seen, I'd step into it. I'd be able to step into it, and then it's really large on the inside. And it's almost like you can almost have like it's not a biosphere, but there's definitely like almost this, not a full civilization, but something that's really large.
Yes, you are right.
In the world. What is the technology that they do to for something like that? What do they call that?
They are making it multi-atomization.
Multi-activation?
Multi-atomization.
On an atomic level. So like, on atoms.
How many vessels are there in existence today?
What do you mean, West? Yeah. You mean the aircraft?
The mountain, the fleet.
I don't know how many thousands of them. I don't know. I mean, at least what I know, approximately 12,000, but it's a very approximate. It's very approximate.
Yeah. And is this the most advanced model, the H series, or there are more advanced?
Yeah, H series. Yeah, you are right.
Okay. So what about the old models? Do they just stick them in a goo vat and recycle them, or do they sell them off to other?
They completely demontated them, and they made them more and more up to date. Yep.
All right. Okay, well, that's all I had about the tier. Oh, maybe you can comment to the audience members what a tier level craft is. The TR, what does that stand for? You want
to? TR. What do you? It's Astrolocus. Technically, it's the type of carrier U.S. government ordered, and this is crazy. Once the project was finished, theoretical project, then they finally somehow found it out that it is completely useless, and they stop it in late 50s. I mean, sorry, but this is crazy. And once Lockheed Industries at that time, Lockheed Aeronautics, my bad. They were like, we have it. Why the heck should not try to build that? And that's the stuff. That's the reason how the started, and that's the stuff that was about atomization, deatomization, all kind of that stuff, like ultra high speeds, all kind of that things.
So it's like quantum space.
Yep, something like that.
But the other thing is was this reverse engineered? I'm assuming it is, but
yep, you are right.
From which species?
Pleiadians, but good ones.
Okay.
15 Pleiades.
All right. Well, I guess we're close to 90 minutes now. I don't have the exact time, but
yeah.
I've pretty much got through all my questions. How about you, Jessica? Did you have some more questions?
No, I think what we covered is good for now. And unless Peter has anything else that he wants to bring up.
No, I think we are okay for now.
Okay. Well, I like to mention that last time we talked about USS Ark Corp, which is based on the moons near the rings of Saturn. And evidently, you, Peter, you were able to help us figure out that the USS stood for United Solar, I think he said system, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And then the Ark we got from Johann Fritz. So he said that stood for Antediluvian Recovery Center. So
that's true.
So that group is they're doing a lot of eugenics type programs and similar to Monarch on Saturn. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because here on this planet we got at least 3 really bad planetary corporations that are involved in human trafficking, and but out there there's a lot. It's a huge mess. So even if we get planet Earth liberated and cleaned up and get us into a good positive timeline, there's a lot more work to do. So yeah, for all you listeners out there, you might, if you want to help participate, probably have a future timeline with Space Force. So a we have a really fun, exciting future. Maybe not fun, unless you consider super soldiering a bunch of fun stuff. It's not that fun when you have bullets flying around and people want to kill you. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. So, Jessica, what's your website? Why don't you give us a plug there?
It's Jessica at Readings by Arael, www.readingsbyarael.com. That's ARAEL, and Andronitoxradio.com. And then, of course, also we have the ACIO agency-org.
Excellent.
And, yeah.
Okay. And for listeners, be sure to visit supersoldiertalk.com. You can support the work I do by visiting neologicaltech.com. And we'll go ahead and leave it at that. And subscribers, listeners, be sure to subscribe wherever the channel this is end up on. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Peter.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, James. Thanks, Peter.
You have been listening to the Disclosures with Peter the Insider and Jessica Marrocco. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Visit www.acio-agency.org and www.readingsbyarael.com. Post your questions and comments below. We look forward to hearing from you. Feel free to support our work. All the links can be found in the description. Thank you.